In 2013, the most valuable company on Earth decided it was going to reinvent the automobile. Apple had the engineers, the designers, the money, over $100 billion sitting in reserves. It had already reinvented music, the phone, the personal computer, the tablet. The auto industry was next. Billions were invested, teams were assembled, prototypes were built. The press called it Project Titan. The world waited. For over a decade, they burned cash, fired executives, changed direction, started over multiple times. The expectations were gravitational because it was Apple. If anyone could blow up Detroit and Silicon Valley at the same time, it was them. And still, it failed. While Apple spent 10 years discovering that building a car has nothing to do with building a smartphone, a company the Western world had barely heard of was quietly working on something entirely different in Chongqing, China. While the cameras pointed at Silicon Valley's billion-dollar bets, Changan, one of the oldest automakers on the planet, was developing a platform so advanced there wasn't even a category for it, no segment, no competitor, no precedent. And this is where things stop making sense in the best possible way. The first time most people hear about the Changan E07, they picture a big electric SUV. And at first glance, that's fair. Nearly 17 feet long, almost 6.5 feet wide, a clean, sculpted silhouette, flush door handles, no grille, no air take brakes in the front fascia, just intentional aerodynamics, signature LED lighting that looks like a raised eyebrow, handles that disappear into the body and only emerge when you approach. From the outside, it reads like a premium electric crossover, imposing, confident, expensive in the right way. And that's exactly where the trap is. Because what you're looking at is not an SUV. It's not a truck, it's not a wagon or a utility vehicle. The E07 holds a patent, a global first. Changan calls it VMV, Variable Morphology Vehicle. And once you understand what that means, you can't look at this segment the same way again. The rear of this car transforms, not with a gimmick, not with a trick gate. The entire C-pillar, the structural column that defines the rear visual of the vehicle, slides electronically forward and folds flat against the roof. The trunk lid drops like a tailgate. What's left is a flat, open cargo bed, flush with the carbon floor. The rear seats fold down and open the space even further. And when you're done, it all closes back. Luxury SUV, panoramic cabin, full rear seating in under 40 seconds. This is not a feature, this is a new class of vehicle.
And that's still just the beginning. The architecture underneath is called SDA, Software Defined Architecture. The name matters because everything in the E07, the way it drives, the way it hauls, the way it communicates with you in the road, is controlled by software that can be updated, improved, and fundamentally changed after you've bought the car. This isn't a vehicle that peaks on delivery day. It's a vehicle that gets better over time. In rear-wheel drive configuration, you're looking at around 340 horsepower from a single electric motor, enough to completely transform your daily drive. In the AWD version, a second motor is added at the front axle. Combined output, approximately 600 horsepower. 2 motors, 2 axles, 1 platform. The kind of numbers that belonged to supercars 10 years ago, now inside a nearly 17-foot family vehicle that doubles as a work truck. But what comes next changes the entire conversation. The interior starts with the driver and makes no apologies for it. There's no conventional instrument cluster, no physical speedometer behind the wheel. The entire experience runs through a floating 15.6-inch display integrated into the dash, and through a heads-up display that goes beyond turn-by-turn navigation and speed readouts. This is augmented reality, real-time projections onto the windshield, route guidance that follows the actual road ahead of you, safety alerts that appear exactly where the hazard is, speed limits that surface where the sign is.
You don't look down, you don't break focus, the information comes to you. The floor is completely flat, no center tunnel, no drivetrain intrusion. The battery lives entirely beneath the floor, which means the cabin is pure space. Heated seats, ventilated seats, massage, vegan leather, surfaces that feel like they cost more than they do, and that's the real signal of good design. This is where the gap becomes uncomfortable. Put the E07 next to the BYD Seal, both electric, both Chinese, both going after the dominance that European and American brands have exercised for decades. The Seal is sharp, quick, efficient, and well-reviewed. It does the job, it earns the recommendation. But here's the reality. The Seal delivers a car, one body, one function, one configuration for life. The E07 delivers a car, a cargo van, a pickup bed, and a versatile family hauler in the same vehicle on the same day with the same button. The Seal has solid range. The E07 has comparable range and a platform that evolves after purchase. The Seal competes in a segment. The E07 replaces multiple segments at the same time. One does one thing, the other does everything. At that point, it's not competition anymore, it's a generational gap. This thing doesn't compete, it replaces. The Advanced Driver Assistance Suite is called Dust Plus. The name undersells what it actually delivers. Adaptive cruise control with stop-and-go traffic capability, lane centering and lane keeping, autonomous emergency braking that identifies not just vehicles, but pedestrians and cyclists separately, blind spot monitoring, a 360-degree camera system with three-dimensional rendering that lets you see around the car as if you're floating above it. That's the level of active safety that 3 years ago was reserved for top-of-the-line German sedans. Now it ships standard on a vehicle built on a software-defined platform, which means the system's capabilities can be expanded, recalibrated, and updated without the car ever entering a dealership. And the next level is where things fully come apart. Now put this in American reality, a country where you need a car Monday through Friday, an SUV for the weekend, and a truck at least twice a year, where the pickup truck is the best-selling vehicle in the nation, not because everyone hauls cargo every day, but because everyone might need to at some point. The E07 doesn't just solve the EV question, it solves the second vehicle question, the truck you were keeping around, the cargo run you needed to rent for, all of it in one product. Think about what that means in practice. On a Tuesday, you load 4 adults with full AWD, cover 250 miles on a single charge, and arrive in something that behaves like a premium SUV. The following Monday, you drop the cargo bed in under 40 seconds, load construction supplies, and get home without calling a friend who owns a truck. The Friday after that, you plug in overnight, get a software update over Wi-Fi, and leave for work in a vehicle that objectively drives differently than it did 6 months ago, because it learned from its own fleet. One vehicle, every scenario, zero compromise. Remember Apple. Remember the billions. Remember a decade of entering an industry from the outside with optimism, capital, and extraordinary talent. It didn't work because building a car, as the world learned the hard way, is one of the most brutal manufacturing challenges in human history. You can't iterate a vehicle like software. Physical constraints are unforgiving. Regulatory requirements are global. Supply chains carry decades of embedded fragility. Changan didn't disrupt through the window, they built through the door, across decades, with deep manufacturing knowledge, with a platform that treats software as the soul of the vehicle, and hardware as the expression of that soul. The E07 is not a concept that became a car. It's the result of a company that mastered both sides of the equation, the machine and the intelligence inside it. That combination is what Apple never achieved. That combination is now sitting in a showroom, available for purchase at a starting price that puts it in the same conversation as a Jeep Grand Cherokee or a Volvo XC60. You're not choosing a car, You're choosing which era you belong to. The market still thinks this segment belongs to Europe, to the United States, to legacy names with legacy pedigree. And those brands keep delivering excellent vehicles. Nobody disputes that. But the E07 doesn't ask for permission to enter the conversation. It arrives with a patented body transformation system, a 600 horsepower AWD setup, an augmented reality head-up display, and a software-defined platform at a price point designed to make you stop mid-sentence and rethink everything you thought you knew about what this kind of vehicle should cost and where it should come from. The problem isn't that this arrived. The problem is you're still looking backward.